Have you ever read some of the things that Jesus said? The Bible records so many quotes and stories he told, and some of them are pretty strange. He talks about love, he talks about sparrows, he talks about building houses and bread and forgiveness and even our senses. And at first glance, they can seem pretty confusing or difficult to understand. That's why for this series of Pulse, we're going to be looking at some of the things that Jesus said and looking at its context. What he was saying, who he was saying it to, and why he said the things that he said. In Matthew 5, Jesus sees the crowds, so he goes up to a hill and sits down and begins to speak to his followers. He starts to talk to them about what it means to have a good attitude and how God blesses and rewards those people who act humbly and show mercy to others and so on. But then he starts talking about salt and light. And he's not just talking about them randomly, he's saying that we, his people, the people who follow him, are salt and light. In verse 13 he says this, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its salty taste, it cannot be made salty again. It's good for nothing except to be thrown out and walked on." We know that salt has two main purposes. The first one is that it preserves food. It keeps something like meat fresh when there's no way of keeping it in the fridge. And the second purpose of salt is it's used to flavour something. And we know this because chips without salt are absolutely rank. But why is Jesus using this comparison? Well, he's saying that as Christians in this world, our role is to preserve and protect the world from evil things. And we do this by bringing a different perspective or a different flavour. When there is war, we're to be peacemakers. When there is sadness, we are to show people hope. And where there is pain, we are to teach about love. Jesus teaches his people to be different, to bring a godly perspective, and to have a positive influence on the world. And then Jesus compares us to light. He talks about how you don't hide a light under a bowl because it would completely defeat the object of having a light in the first place. The sole purpose of light is to shine bright for people to see. So why does Jesus compare us to light? Well, the presence of light in dark is something which is unmistakable. And so here Jesus is telling his people to go, to be light in the darkness, to go and take hope and truth to the people of the world, not to hide it, but to share it openly. And so Jesus uses our senses of sight and taste, something that we are familiar with, something that we understand, to teach us the best way of living and the effect that we should have on the world around us. And I think that's a pretty good lesson, don't you?